Hey, what's going on out there, everybody? This is Sammy Leggy here representing TeamJVS here to give you guys an exclusive review for Project Hail Mary. Oh my goodness. You guys are in for a treat. I can go ahead and say that up front. This is starring the amazing Ryan Gosling, Sandra Holler, Lionel Boyce from The Weir, Ken Leong, and this is all directed by Philip and Chris. And I'm talking about Philip Lord and Chris Miller. If you've seen Spider-Verse, you know what they're capable of. But this, and adapted from Andy's book with the same exact name, I did not know what I was getting myself into, but I'm glad that I watched it. This is something, I'll tell you up front, go and see it in IMAX. See it in 70mm. Whatever you got to do. If it's Dolby, go and check it out, because from an immersive standpoint, the way visually it's done is amazing. And this is from the same exact author of The Martian. So this one, if you want to kind of go through what it's about, you have a person, it's a normal science teacher. Ryland Grace is a normal science teacher that at some point he gets approached by somebody saying like, hey, we've got a real serious situation and we need your help. What if that actually happened and you're kind of like, I don't want the responsibility of the world on my hands, and you just kind of deny. And that is Raylan's character. That's who he is. And that's very realistic, but at the same time, what are the moral conflictions with that? This film takes place in deep space. It takes place on Earth. It takes place in a lot of human moments that are very fantastical. There may be a moment where you have Ryan Gosling going and like working with the students and just helping them out with just a baseline problem. And you see he's kind of pushing and pulling, very versatile in this. Like, this is one of Ryan Gosling's best. But then you may see him in another situation where he's with Lionel Boyce's character, and they're doing some kind of experiment that has ramifications to it, like actual consequences. And then a large margin of the time, much like The Martian, Grace he is by himself. He has no one around. It is just him and trying to figure out what to do. Now, there's another key person. I left their name out intentionally. I found a lot of it about this person. That's James Ortiz. James Ortiz plays a role of a character named Rocky. I'm not going to go into specifics of it, but let's just say Rocky is not from Earth. And I will go and do a more spoiler-filled discussion. Just bear with it. But I understood later on, after watching the film, that James is actually a puppeteer and is doing the performance of the puppeteering while also making great communication and back and forth with Ryan. And it shows on screen. The weird thing is, it looks so good, you think it's CG, but it's actually practical. And when you're on the set of the ship that Ryan's in, primarily most of the film, like, it feels like we're living in it. It feels like this is actually happening. I don't think I've seen anything like this in a very long time. Like Interstellar, of course, like anything that Steven Spielberg has made from a science fiction standpoint, given that otherworldly, whether it is E.T. or something else, like you feel those moments in this. But this is something very different, because the character of Ryland Grace, it feels so much more tangible and connectable to somebody that's normal, whether they are a genius or not, whether they are a brave person or a coward or not, whether they are somebody that has gone through loss or have been alone all their life. You feel all these different vivid emotions. And I think that also with Sandra Hiller's character, Ava, they do something very specific with that character as well, because there's moments where you don't know what side of this story she is on. And yet, with her mannerisms, with her eyes, with her actions, you see that she sees things in others that you don't perceive necessarily her cold exterior shows. And I think that that is the embodiment of it. The movie itself is a testament to hope, and not just perseverance, but the willingness to persevere in the midst of something that is just impossible. And I think you see it in the characters Ava, you see it in the characters Raylan, and you absolutely see it in the character Rocky, even though you don't necessarily know what Rocky's saying primarily most of the time. The movie itself, it lends itself to a very compromising situation that is in dire straits for the world. But there's also moments of levity and fun and comedic numbers, and it goes and pushes and pulls with your emotional strings. And that's something that Chris and his counterpart do very well. If you've ever seen Chris and Phil with whether it's the Spider-Verse or something else, they have this ability of captivating you with what you see visually, immersing you to connect to characters you don't necessarily know, but you find yourself liking and needing and wanting to understand where they go. And yet at the same time, when life is there, you still feel, right? Like, even if it's an emotion like, man, you feel great because this worked out, or you feel like, man, that's a real consequence this person has to deal with, but they're not going to stop. And this movie embodies that on a very visceral level that I haven't really necessarily seen in a very long time. From a cinematography standpoint, camera angles, editing, they go back and forth between different periods of time. And flashbacks sometimes are not good for tone, and they also aren't good necessarily for pacing. But yet the pacing was done very well. In a 2-hour and 36 movie, I did not feel the 2-hour and 36. I just felt like the story. Matter of fact, I got done with the film and I was still sitting there waiting to see if there's any more. Like, it holds you. It doesn't just kind of take you on a ride. Like, it holds you and allows you to be able to breathe, to be able to hope, and to be able to move forward. And I think that a lot of films don't have that. The only knock I have on this film is I wish it actually came out much later in the year, because this absolutely is award worthy, whether it is the performance by Ryan Gosling, whether it is the visual effects, whether that is the cinematography work. The score is amazing. The set design, the actual sets themselves, and how they use gravity and not use gravity and go back and forth. Just, this movie is not just empowering and it's hopeful. I think it's good for people on a very deeper level that I don't want to disclose in this review, but I want you guys to understand that you can take your kids to see this. You can go and see this with your spouses. You can go and see this with your parents. And everybody will get something out of it, because it goes and blurs the lines of not just science fiction, but the human condition of belief and also science, and mirroring the understanding that there is a belief in something, and yet you can always persevere by doing what you can to try to help somebody else. And I really do feel empowered by the film. It is one of the best films of 2026. And I think that's going to stand for a very long time, up until certain movies come out. But yes, 10 out of 10. So good. So good. I think that with Ryan isn't underrated. I think this Ryan, he can do it all. There's not too many things that he cannot do from an acting standpoint. But with this, majority of the time, it's just him, or he's working under different constraints. And yet he's got to show vulnerability. He's got to show his capability. He's got to show his failures, and also his willingness to do something different. There are moments in this film that you see him in 3 to 4 different roles. And I mean that, not just physically, but what he has to become and what he has to deal with in process. And I give credit to all the different actors that are connected to this, because I was all the way locked in. But again, specifically to Sandra, they do something very special with her, and I really appreciate it. So go and check out Project Hail Mary. You are not going to be disappointed. If you guys want me to go and give a more spoiler-filled discussion, I'm willing to do it. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, guys. Falling off the top of